Water with lime. Good evening, everybody. Wait till this starts showing me that people are in here. Takes a couple minutes, I guess. Let me go and make sure the comments are jumping over where they're supposed to be. I'm de-dawdling, getting set up here, so bear with me. So I'm sorry, I'm looking around at, oh, good Lord. You got to jump through 12,000 hoops in order to do anything. I'm making sure I'm signing up on the right thing, the correct thing, in order to be able to share the screen. Okay, yes, it's me. Scan your finger on the fingerprint reader. Okay. I'll be right with you. I'm just jumping over to YouTube. Okay, here we are there. Here we are there. Let's catch up on. I'll be quiet. Okay, the society page is in the house. Boom. You guys notice that? All four of you? You notice a friendly face, a friendly name there? Welcome back, the society page. Maybe I'll need to bring the society page up on my share screen thing. Bare Necessities, Tamara. How's everybody doing? I got my matcha. I'm into these clever blends, they're called. So wait a couple minutes. Beasley's sleeping in the other room. If not, he would be barking his head off at that little puppy that's walking past the front. All right, all five of us in here, 6. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. It's a rainy day here. I can't even go in my backyard right now because it is literally like walking into a swarm of mosquitoes. Even Mr. Beasley won't even go. My neighbor next door, I'm like, how are you handling it? She goes, I'm going out front. I mean, it's literally like you are completely enveloped in mosquitoes because we have this swale in the back and it turns into a pond, and it's been raining and raining and raining and raining and hot. And so it's mosquito territory and I'm bit all over. All right, all 5 of us here. I want to show you something, little show and tell for those dog people. I got this for my dog. You're wondering what that is, right? And it's like sticky, doesn't slide. What you do is you drop like the food in there and it gives them the semblance of rooting around in there for food. And because he does that constantly in the grass, and I'm like, okay, and this works. He sticks his face in here, and goes all around looking for chow. So that was a nice thing. So I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to start by telling you guys about my flower training today. I'm telling you, I told my friend Susie, you should really think about putting this out there as like a therapeutic activity, because it's not just flowers. And she said she's had that from somebody else. In fact, it was one of the women that was with me in the class I last took with her, because I said, I don't know why I keep having these emotions coming up while I'm doing this time with her. I haven't, I experienced that at one other training before, but she said the same thing happened with this other woman. And I said, there's something, I don't know how to define it. I don't know that I want to define it or understand it, but there is something that's happening. There's something that's transforming. And I don't know, maybe it's that when you take on any kind of new thing, and this isn't new to me, but I'm approaching it like it's new. You confront things in yourself, and as those things start to fall away, you have a letting go, something like that. I that's the best way I can explain it. But it happened again today. So I don't have mine to show you, and I couldn't figure out how to do the share screen thing. I'm like learning all over again. StreamYard, I forgot you have to convert images to JPEG images to share them on there. It's like a whole process, and I just forgot about that and didn't get it done in time. But I gifted mine that I made to my brother's, one of his caretakers, because I don't know if I mentioned, she lost her daughter very recently and very suddenly. She was 47. They took her in. She went in for surgery, like a cyst removal. And excuse me, they found a lot of cancer. And then they took her in for a second surgery. And she came out of that on intubated and not well at all. And they then sent her home with hospice, took her off everything. That all happened within 1 week, and she was gone. She went home, and she was home maybe 3-4 days, and she passed. So this woman, as you can imagine, was high top cat, was flattened, and she's one of like my brother's main caregivers. So we offered her a lot of support during that time. We gave her the paid time off and everything, and just, whatever you need, gave her a little extra to get through that time, not knowing, she's independently working. And I said to my brother, we are her employer. And if she had an employer, like if she worked for a company, she would be able to take like sick time or whatever for this sudden tragedy. So we're going to treat it like that. And then I covered for her during those couple weeks she took off, but she's back at work now. And so I thought, I'm going to give her these flowers that I made today. So, because she sees my brother Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and she'd be over there tomorrow. So, that's why I gave mine to. But so what happened today was, I'm in there and we're trying a whole new thing and like not using I don't know if you know what Oasis is, but there's different mechanics of ways to do flower arrangements. But this one was just flowers in a vase with water. And it sounds a lot easier than it is. So I get about maybe a third of the way into it. And you create a base out of your greens. So that's a structure that holds your flowers so they just don't flop over willy-nilly. And I'm doing that, and I kind of stuck this Snapdragon in there, and I'm like, I don't like the way that's, curving. So I pull it out and turn it around and put it back in. And in doing so, I disrupted my entire foundation. So I kept going forward, and I stepped back, and I'm like, Susie, this is not working. She goes, no, it's not. And let me tell you why. Because you pulled that flower all the way out, and you pulled out a lot of your foundation with it, and it's not going to work. She goes, take everything out and start over. And it was such a relief, like, okay, I can start over. And I was so high postpartum. And this is what I mean about the emotional journey that I'm on, because I'm like, am I frustrating you? And she's looking at me like, you're crazy. And I said, I'm frustrating myself, but at the same time, I'm relieved that I can start all over. She said, Kathy, you can always start all over again. She goes, I want you to take everything out, line it all up again, separate all of your elements, and we're going to start over. And then she really led me through it in a very like a preschooler. Here's how you hold your hand. And I just needed that. And then I got it started again, and then it came out beautifully and perfectly. And then I was like so relieved that I wasn't like struggling with it. But it got us to talking about, like, in life, if your foundation is not solid, anything you're trying to develop on top of that is also not going to be solid. However you want to apply that, and so we started having that conversation. I mean, it's just really interesting what's happening here in this whole process. And then this woman came in, and we were done. And she noticed the one, Susie made two at the time that I made one, of course. She's like 10,000 times faster than me. So she was just oohing and awing because we had them both sitting there, because I decided to buy the second one she made, because I will tell you this, after my last lesson last week, I decided to resurrect something that I had already started when we moved my brother into this retirement community, to teach these people out. Thank you, Bare Necessities, for understanding that. Sometimes I'm just, like I said, thinking out loud, and I don't know if I'm communicating it well where it gets translated in the way that I want it to. So thank you for letting me know that you're picking up what I'm laying down. So anyway, I've done it one time, and I started doing, I planned it again where I'm going to do flower arranging classes for the residents there, just at my cost. So I probably lose a little money just simply because I tend to overbuy things, but that's fine because it's a labor of love for these residents there in a way that's, easy for them. And that's what we talked about a lot today too at my training, was like how to do this so I don't run into the same problems with them, because there's going to be some quite elderly people there with dexterity issues and stuff like that I just ran into myself at this training this morning. So we kind of planned all that out and what kind of flowers to get, because I said what I scheduled it. I'm doing it next month, and it's already on their schedule and everything. And to make it enticing, I'm calling it an English country garden arrangement. And so I've been, it's been a fun project that I'm working on. And I got these mason jars, and I'm going to paint them like a Wedgwood blue with like a little white accent, because they're inexpensive. The jars are inexpensive, but I want to make them look a little, nicer and fancy, and then put a ribbon around it and do a class. And so as she's next to me making her thing, because she goes, I'm going to make another one while you're doing that. Because I always take the one that I make and then I buy the one that she makes. But then she made this extra one because she just had extra flowers and she had a really slow day. And the second one that she made was exactly in the style that I want to do for my class. So I'm like, that's exactly the English country garden look that I want to make for my class. So I ended up buying that one, and I'll show it to you. I can pull it around here and not knock everything over. So, yeah, and then the other one she could just put in the cooler and sell it. And people do walk in there and they just buy whatever she has in the cooler. Oh my God, I'm so wedged in here. Let me get this and show you extreme close up. Could have made this a little easier for me to reach. Okay. So you see that? So it's just sort of like wild looking with like a lot of light feathery stuff with a lot of movement, and just looks like somebody, went out in their garden and grabbed a bunch of things. That's a pincushion protea there. But isn't that beautiful? There's a hydrangea. These lilies smell amazing. And these things I want to learn to grow. These are called bellflowers, those purple ones. And these I do grow, these pink ones called astilbe. And I might have some. What would be really, really cool is if I had some of my own flowers that I'm growing to bring to the class so that they could incorporate my own flowers into their arrangement. So I'll see what's blooming at the time. But also Susie was telling me that she has some local growers. We're in like a lot of Amish and Mennonite country, and they're major gardeners and farmers. And so she had a couple of them stop in. Like, a lot of these flowers are locally grown, and they just stopped into her shop and said, we'll sell to you directly wholesale. So there's like no middleman at all. And they come with their van, and she buys out of their van. And I was like, I want to get in on that. So, and I do have a wholesale because I do have a business, and, I just haven't been doing anything with it. So now I'm like kicking it up again. But my business is going to be more philanthropic, really, I think. We'll see where it goes. But, I have made some arrangements that people have ordered for me. But it's like so low key. So anyway, I'm going to get in on that, so I can get some of my flowers, because they'll last a lot longer, because they literally like pick them in the morning and they bring them over in the afternoon and sell them to her. So that astilbe, I just think this looks totally like, okay, postpartum, this does have eucalyptus in it and you can really smell it. But doesn't that have like the English country garden vibe to it? That real dancing around. And in a mason jar, picture that in a mason jar that's like, a cornflower blue and a ribbon on it. So, she's really helping me on how to do that within their, to make it easier for them. So I'm going to drop all the greens in there for them. And so they already have their structure in their jar. And so all they have to work with is flowers. So yes, AJ, it's never too late to start over. So I'm telling you guys, I know I keep harping on this, but because I'm in this wave of this right now. I really want to share this. Like if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you're maybe a little down or a little blah, or, sad, or the future looks bleak, whatever, we've all been there. And I have to say, I was in kind of a little lull like that. Starting something new as a beginner and humbling yourself. There's a humbling that comes with it that is, for me, it's just a relief to be in that role. You just don't know what it's going to awaken in you. And for me, like I said, I'm quite accomplished in flowers compared to like where I was when I very first started doing this. I've spent several years now doing lots of training in flowers. But right now I'm like considering myself a beginner, and it was totally today an example of that when I had to completely start over. And she was just so cool with me. She goes, you know what? I want you to take everything out and we're going to start over because you are on an unsteady foundation now. It's not going to work. And so it's like, okay, I can do that, and I gave her so much praise for being such a good teacher. And then like this, when this woman walked in and saw the other two arrangements there and was just, oohing and eyeing over them because they're different, unique, that you would normally see in a flower shop. I told her, I said, Susie does training, like I'm training with her right now. And she does that. Like I'm sort of promoting her in this way because she's in a slow time in the summer. And this is great. And she loves it because she's so good at it. And so she's in her groove. When somebody's in their groove, it's just contagious. We're just such a good fit. So we're going to have Lillian for 2 weeks in July, and I'm going to bring her with me for 2 of the times, at least 1, if not 2, if we have her on Tuesdays for 2 Tuesdays, which I think we will. Hi, Ambi, AJ, Tia. Nice to see all you guys. I just am so glad that this community has stayed like intimate and cozy and comfy. And, it's just such a different feeling than it used to be. And I really appreciate you guys for being so cool. And Jamie Justice, there you are too. So we were just talking about like starting over something, or just starting something new and finding, so much in life is finding people that are really good at the field that they do. We just fired our accountant and we're getting a new one because we're in a place where like, unless we really trust you and you're really good and we can rely on you, we're just going to move on. So we found somebody else. And she made a pretty big mistake. And like, I just said to John, like, I can't come back from that. We need to just move on. So anyway, finding people that are really good at what they do, trusting them, sort of abdicating yourself to their expertise. I'm telling you, this is a huge key to life. And looking around at everything, like for us, our lawyers, our financial people, our accountant, this florist who's teaching me, my brother's caregivers, where my brother lives, which is what I'm going to talk about today. And then just letting go and letting them be in charge of the thing that they're in charge with, like these people that are doing our remodel, like finding people that are good, the best fit for you. And that you're not like in these power struggles or questioning or wondering, or, if you're feeling that way, that's the time to, cut the cord and find somebody else that you don't feel that way. Even in dating, we used to say that when I was single and dating, my friends and I, like, if you're 2 weeks into the relationship and you're asking your girlfriends, like, I can't really tell if he likes me or not. He doesn't. If somebody does, especially at the beginning, we're like, I can't tell if he is seeing other people or just me. Then, and if you're having all these insecurities and uncertainties really early on like that, that's your sign right there. We used to say that to each other, like, we have to get that instead of like that. He's just not that into you, instead of like hashing and rehashing. And maybe it means this, and maybe he's doing this, and maybe he's just insecure, and maybe this, and maybe if I just give more and all that shit, it's like, if you feel comfortable, and if you don't. And there's a lot of fish in the sea. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of accountants to choose from. I mean, you're rarely in a situation where like that's the only person that can provide you that service. Thank you, Tamara. All right. Hi, Betty Ann. Oh my God, I'm so glad you guys are here. It's so nice to see all these friendly names. What a great idea to teach your daughter early on that you can fix mistakes, create something beautiful. Even when you doubt yourself, give it another try. See, that's going to make me cry, AJ. I mean, that really is. And to learn these lessons in a way that's not so confronting, that's through an activity. I mean, Susie, I'm very good friends with Susie. Like, she's not somebody that she is like the most chill, easygoing, uplifting person. And here I am saying to her, am I really frustrating you? And she's looking at me like, no, this is what I'm here for. This is what we're here to do, is to learn. And you make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes and you learned something. So let's just kick it. And oh my God. Tamara, that's okay. This is a come as you are place. Come, go, whatever, be as you are. So it's just surprising me that this surrender, so much of life is just freaking surrender, right? This surrender that I just said, because normally how this happened was normally at this time of year, I am going to all these flower farms and taking their classes. And they are abundant, but they're not like right in my community. So, I mean, I drive, and I love doing that, but I drive like an hour and a half to get to this one place, and I'd spend the night there and take her class. And she has classes like, well, she's a flower farm. So you're picking her flowers and then you're coming into her beautiful space that she has. It's like it's like a total Pinterest world. It's a old chicken barn or something like that that's been renovated in this loft. It's just incredible. And then we make our arrangements. Then we go out with more flowers and decorate this huge arbor with this table running down the middle of it. I'm telling you, it's like a Pinterest come to life. And then each of us has like a corner of this arbor, like you would on a wedding arch with all these arches. And then we bring our arrangements out, and then we have a catered dinner under all these flowers. I mean, it's pretty spectacular, right? This is the kind of thing, but I can't do this summer because of my dog, and because of the logistics and everything. You remember the kitten that tried to come? I know, postpartum, that tried to jump in my car. They had all those little kittens. That's a different one. They don't have classes. I will be going to that one though, to pick flowers. But this other one that I go to, she's a florist. She does classes and all that kind of stuff. But as you can imagine, that's pricey and it's a time investment. And I can't do it right now. John's up at the other house, and I'm down here with the dog. It's just logistically, I can't do it. And then so I got her notice of that, and I was like, oh, I mean, you can imagine how lovely that is. I mean, every part of that is amazing. And the person that she has catering the dinner, the food is always so incredible, homemade and just incredible. And, I always meet people down there, and you have really cool conversations over these meals. It's just such a cool thing, but I can't do it right now. And all of a sudden I'm like, I got Susie right in my backyard. I mean, I can literally leave the dog and go there for an hour and a half and do that and come back. And it's not a big deal because he's, of an age I can do that now. So then we've started this thing of like doing it weekly. So it's just been a surprise as to how enriching this has been. And it's not really what I thought. I just thought I need flower stuff in my life. And, the best way to do it is to go to a florist shop where all the supplies that you need are right there, and all of her flowers are there, and I don't have to gather everything myself and all of that. So, and you're in that vibe of doing it, so she has everything, all set up when I get in there, and the towels down and the Lazy Susan and everything like that. So anyway, it has been spectacular. Oh, thank you for saying that, Tamara. So about our house, the quartz got installed today. So John's been sending me pictures. I'll see it later this week. I'm really excited to see it in person. It looks really good. We're having quartz on our vanity top, our bench, in the shower, what they call the curb around the shower. I didn't know that term. And then we're having a little windowsill made out of that same quartz at our window, because with the freestanding tub, I gotta have places to put my phone, to put my candle, to put my plant, a book, whatever. So we're having a little windowsill built there out of that same quartz. And, all we saw was like a 1 square foot part of it. And John's sending me all these pictures, like these close-ups. And when we bought the house, it was, built close to 30 years ago. So the style was very different. And that countertop that's quartz that looks kind of like sand. It's like all the little pebbles, the little tiny pebbles. That's how it looked. And John said, we got to get rid of this truck stop countertop. He said, it reminds me of a truck stop bathroom. So I asked him today, I said, I'm seeing little tiny dots in this, close up. And I said, please tell me it's not the truck stop bathroom. He said, no, it's very faint. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing it in person with my own eyes. He said it's just beautiful. Because once again, when you're picking whites, the whites have to match the whites and anyway. So that's coming along, and he's doing all kinds of projects up there too. So I want to tell you guys a story about my brother from the past, and then an updated story that happened this week that I know is going to be uplifting for you, as it was for me, as it is for me. And the one from the past is one that I've told before, but sometimes it's good to tell it again, and it's good to hear it again, because it is a really good story. And it's about how it's about my brother auditioning for a chorus. So it was probably in 2000. It was around 2012, I think. Okay, no, he would have turned 50 in 2013. Was that it? When he turned 50, he was missing. My brother kept going missing. Well, he did twice that we know of, for significant periods of time. Like, we had to file missing person reports and stuff like that, like gone for like a couple of weeks. First time he was found, this angel of a person found him. He had crashed his car in the country, out in the country in Ohio, I think. And she found him just walking down the road with his backpack, and she had seen his car like crash into a cornfield, and picked him up and took him to a motel, dropped him off there, left, and thought, I don't feel good about this. She went back, and he had already left. He was so paranoid. He thought the motel room was bugged. So he left, and she's like, where would a person go if they're on foot? And she saw Walmart, and she drove her to Walmart and found him sitting on a bench in front of Walmart, out of his mind, and took him to a hospital. So that was the first time. And then ultimately we got notified that he was found. Well, anyway, then a couple of years later, because he was so poorly managed across the board, and I was living in Arizona, all this was happening in Illinois, he went missing again. And he surfaced on his 50th birthday. And that's when I realized he's not going to survive this lifestyle. I got to take over. So I took over the reins of caring for him. It wasn't the first time I had done that. It was like this, well, the second or third time he had moved to Arizona, but he kept then bouncing back to Illinois. Anyway, at least the second time he moved out. So this time, I knew this is going to be for good, because he needs way, way, way more care than what he's getting. And so anyway, blah, blah, blah. I think I told that story last time about his move out and how all the miraculous things. I mean, my brother is just surrounded by angels. So he's out there, he's living with me for the summer. He almost immediately started doing better. I mean, it was really like that movie Awakenings. Somebody who is almost unable to have a conversation because they are consumed with hallucinations, auditory hallucinations, to someone who I would go to work and I'd come home and he was making me dinner. And we were going and doing so many fun things. And he was, taking care of his grooming again. And like, he just elevated. And so during that summer, my brother is also gay. And that lifestyle went completely by the wayside, because he didn't have any friends or any social life or anything, because he was just a completely mentally ill person in the world, and struggling to just survive, really. And so, I don't know that I think he had maybe one friend in his apartment complex. where he lived. He just told me the other day he lived there for 10 years, subsidized housing. Anyway, I could go on and on about, anyway, not going down that road. So he moved out, lived with me for a summer as he was stabilizing, and I got him in this program, and he would go there every day, all day. And I started thinking, okay, you're doing a lot better. You're in a big metropolitan area now. We need to find a way to plug you into the gay community so you can maybe make some friends, you know? And like, how do we do that? This middle-aged schizophrenic man, like, how do we do that? And then I realized I knew exactly what to do. I mean, at least one avenue, which is that I knew something about my brother that nobody else in Arizona would know, and that my brother can sing. He has this amazing singing voice. And I'd known about this gay men's chorus because I'd seen them before, and they would pop up on the TV, and they would have like parades. Sometimes they would be in, and like, okay, you know, here's a Christmas, poinsettias at this outdoor mall, and we've got the Phoenix Gay Men's Chorus, serenading us with Christmas carols and stuff. I'd seen them, and I think I'd been to a concert of them before. So I said to my brother, let's go see them. So I took him to a concert, and I said, I can see you doing this. Can you see yourself doing this? And he's like, yeah, I think I could. So I called them up and said, what's the deal with auditioning? And they said, our auditions are coming up. I think it was in August. Our auditions are coming up. And maybe we contacted them like in July. And so we had like a month to prepare for this. And, then we start our new season, because their big season is like the Christmas season. They have the big Christmas concert, and they do a lot of things around town, around Phoenix. So we start prepping for this audition, and my brother's on board. I mean, my brother, one of the things John and I talk about, I'm really trying to train myself to say John instead of my husband, because like my neighbor really gave me a hard time about that. And she just felt like it was like kind of rude to her that I was saying my husband. She's like, I know your husband's name. It's just a total habit related to having too many Johns in my life. Anyway, so we were just talking about that. Where was I? Anyway, so we were just talking about how one of the great things about my brother is that he's so cooperative. So pretty much anything I suggest, he will get on board with. So, I'm like, I think we should get you to audition for this chorus. So I am working with him like daily, like getting him to sing scales, and he's got this deep, on pitch, like perfect pitch voice. He sang as a child, like he sang on stages as a child. And so I think my dad plugged him into some singing stuff when we were kids that was beyond like school. Anyway, so I'm like in the car, like we're picking songs. I think he was going to sing Doe a Deer or something like that from The Sound of Music, and, and all that kind of stuff. And then, so he had some songs prepared to sing, and, the scales and all that kind of stuff. And so here we are going to the audition. And I'm sure I was more nervous than he was. He was super chill about it. And so we get there, we drive all the way into Phoenix. I lived in Tempe, so it's like a half-hour drive at least. We get in there, it's at this church, in the back of this church. And it's just the chorus director and this other man. And they're very friendly. This man, why can't I think of his name right now? Doggone it. I know his name. Senior moment. He's just one of these people with this really bright smile. And as it turns out, he's the president of the chorus, or of the organization at the moment. He was at the time. And so we go in, and the conductor just whisks John back into this back room, like instantly, like, hi, nice to meet you. Come on back. So I'm out hanging with this guy, and nervous as hell. And John's like, I brought a song. He goes, oh, I don't need a song. I'm just going to have you do some notes, some, scales. And so they go back into this back room where the piano is. And I'm out here talking to this president, right? And so he's telling me about his journey to becoming in the chorus. And he's like, I followed these guys for so long, and I wanted to be a part of this so bad. But I didn't know if I could sing, and I was so nervous when I auditioned, and I just wanted to be a part of it, and I remember what that was like and how nervous I was, and then I just after it was over, I was just on pins and needles, and I waited, I don't know, however many days, like, let's say 5 days, and then I got the call back that I got called in, I got it, I got accepted, and, he's just telling me because I'm trying to get an idea of like how this goes, this audition goes, and whether when you find out and stuff like that. So we hear them back there and da 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 da. I'm not the one with the singing voice, right? Da 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 da. And da 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 da. And that's basically all they're doing. And he's having my brother do these scales. And this guy that I'm talking to, we stop and we can hear him, and he goes, "Wow, your brother has a much better voice than I had." He goes, "He actually has a better voice than I have right now." He goes, "But I have really developed my voice being in this chorus. You can really develop your voice in here." But he goes, "Your brother has a really good voice." I'm like, "I know, he really does." And, this would be just, and I said to my brother, "Do not lead with mental illness." Because everybody asks everybody, "So what do you do for a living?" Because not only are they evaluating somebody, can they sing? They're evaluating them of, are you going to show up for auditions and can we count on you? And what is your lifestyle like? For something like that, that's a big part of it too. Because there's a lot of flaky people that want to be a part of something, but they don't really want to put the work in, or they're conflicted, or they have too many things going on in their life. So I knew they would probably be asking him questions like that. So I'm coaching him in the car, like, just say you're disabled. That's all you have to say. Say you're on disability and you have a lot of free time, but, and that you're not working right now, and they can think you have a back problem, whatever, just say you're on disability. I tell you, bookmark that. So we're listening, and this guy is telling me like, "Wow, he has a really good voice." I'm like, "Right? I know." So it wasn't very long, and they come out. He's got a piece of paper, this conductor, and he slaps it on the table in front of this guy where he's sitting at the table and I'm standing there. And he goes, "We've got a baritone," like that. I'm like, "Oh, so he's a baritone. Great." And so he goes, "Hey, as long as you're in the area, we have rehearsal that's happening in like an hour, or like an hour and a half or something like that. If you want to hang around or come back and watch a rehearsal, you're welcome to do that." So I'm like, "John, you want to do that?" And he goes, "Yeah, let's do that." So we went out, and, we were headed out to go to dinner. I said, "Let's go get something to eat, and then we'll come back and sit in on this rehearsal." So as we're walking out, I'm trying to be cool, right? I'm trying to be like casual, but on the inside, I'm dying, like, okay, what's next? When do we have when do we have the word? And so we're walking out, and I just sort of casually over my shoulder say, "So we should expect to hear something around like within a week or something like that." And they both look at me, and he goes, "Oh, he's in." The conductor says that to me like that. He goes, "Oh, he's in. Your brother can sing." I'll never forget that. Like a peak moment of my life when he said that. He goes, "Your brother can sing." I'm like, "I know." Yep. So we left. We went in for Mexican food, had a margarita, and came back and watched their performance, watched their rehearsal. And my brother was a part of that chorus. Well, let me show you. There he is right there in a tux. He had to buy a tux. And there's the two of us at one of his performances. When he sang with them for, I think, 3 years. These pictures are not great because, did I just lose the picture? Yeah, I did. Hang on. Because, let me search for it again. Hang on. I forgot how to do this, and so I'm just searching on my Facebook. under chorus because I knew I would have pictures on here because I used to put a lot of things on Facebook. But okay, let me see what you can see there. So this is a picture here of some of my friends and I going to see the show. That's the set on the left. That's the set of the chorus. And those are me with some of my friends going to see it. This is, it says a great way to celebrate my brother's birthday. So he must be up there singing. There's me with my dad. We went to their show. Here's another Christmas with some of my friends that we went for the Christmas show. Let me see if I can show you this one. So let me get myself out of the way here. See if we could show this picture a little bit bigger. So right there, if you can see that on the top left, that's my brother. That's the conductor right there that said, your brother can sing. And I mean, like they have a orchestra band on the stage, everything. I mean, it's a very, very polished production. And there he is in the top, in the back there, singing his little heart out. Let's see. Here he is. Oh, this was during COVID because we streamed their performance here because it was during COVID. We couldn't go see it, so we streamed it. There's that picture again of the two of us. These are just the ones. Okay, so in 2016, they said, my brother having fun with chorus friends in Denver, happy tears. So here is my brother. He even went, you guys, on a trip with the chorus to Denver to a conference of other gay men's choruses from across the country. So there's that. So he traveled. I mean, this was somebody who 3 years earlier was unable to function. And here he is traveling to Denver with a group. I found somebody in the chorus that couldn't afford to go. And I said, we will pay your way if you will share my brother's room. Because I just wanted to know that there was somebody sort of a buddy system. Oh, that's something else. That's something else. Let's see. Here he is again at that in the red shirt in the middle. I mean, like with dudes, hanging out with other guys, very accepted, there were some that really took my brother under his wing and helped him a lot. I have more, but these were just the ones that came up. Oh, and here, I got to show you this. Okay, this is the post I made in 2015. The second year of my brother singing the holiday concerts with the Phoenix Metropolitan Men's Chorus is nothing short of a miracle. This group has given him a life in the gay community, something to strive for and excel at, memorizing songs and some in different languages, and a sense of family, as he told me last night. He said they were like a family for him. So many men I met this weekend said, we just love John. I was guided to the perfect landing spot for him and so glad I insisted he audition because he found a true home here. I'm so proud of him and all of their generosity of spirit. And the shows were just marvelous, truly professional and fun. What a fantastic weekend. Another show in the spring, so let me know if you'd like to go with. So, yeah, I went to all of the shows. Like they would have these Christmas shows. And they would have them like 4 shows over the weekend, and I would go to every single one. And this one, if you can see there, you can see his name there in the baritones. Let's see, where is he? Right down there, John Monkman. Like my brother's name in a program. So let's see if there's any other memorabilia. I made him like a collage of all of the programs. This is me. This is a funny picture. This is me right after John Hyam and I got married. We were married like 1 month. What do you see in this picture? Me with a collar on my neck because just a few days before this, I was hit by a car as a pedestrian. So that's kind of funny. I was out running around in the world with this neck brace on. But that was at a very, very nice auditorium. There's my dad and two of my good friends from Phoenix, Marianne and Susan. Let's see. I guess he's in that one somewhere. Oh, I made these two. They had a bake sale, and I made these incredible lemon bundt cakes to sell at their bake sale. There's another. Oh, this is when we went. Okay, this is when we went, I think, before he auditioned, I think, because we went. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is, yeah. Anyway, you guys get the drift. Oh, this picture. Okay, I'll leave it on this picture because this picture is really something. I took a picture of him walking with his suitcase into the airport. Right there. That's him heading off by himself to Denver. I mean, you just don't even know what a big deal all that was. So, okay, there I am. So let's see here. Let me catch on some comments. John reminds me so much of Daniel Johnston. Have you had a chance to watch his incredible short film I sent you? Tia, I don't remember a year or so ago, or the documentary about him. Tia, I don't remember. I don't think I watched it, and I don't remember receiving that. Not saying that I didn't. I'm just saying I don't remember. But I will look that up. Thank you for that. If you don't mind, and you have it at your fingertips, send it to me again, because I would like that. And if I did watch it, I'll remember it as soon as I see it. I just don't remember right now. Yeah, a nice auditorium. Well, one of those, the really nice one was the Orpheum Theater in Phoenix, which is a beautiful, historic, incredible auditorium, like one of the fanciest, nicest auditoriums in the Phoenix area. Has he stayed in touch with any of the members? No, I do, because I do on Facebook and stuff like that. But he didn't really, and that's going to dovetail into the next phase of the story. He didn't socialize that much with them outside of chorus events. Like, he didn't get invited to things. And part of it was, I think, my dad decided to move to Phoenix and moved in with my brother. And my brother became consumed with really becoming a caretaker for my dad and with my dad. So he lost a lot of his sort of like single autonomy. And anyway, I don't want to go down that road. It was not good for my brother, I don't think, but he's getting another shot now at his own life. So he didn't socialize with them other than like they did bingo things, and he would go to that. I would go to that with him. And of course, the concerts and the rehearsals. He was in rehearsal every week, and then sometimes multiple times a week. And then finally it just got overwhelming for him. And I'm sure the caretaking of my dad with that, he started to feel like it was so much work that he was learning songs in Latin. And, aside from being mentally ill, he also has a significant learning disability. And it was really hard for him to learn this stuff. And he was starting to feel like it was just not fun anymore. And I get that. Yes, it does feel like the old days. Okay, the documentary is The Devil and Daniel Johnston. I will find that, Tia. Hi, how are you, Dan? I will find these things. Thank you for that. Well, thank you, Betty Ann. So I'm going to give you guys an update. This really might hit you in the feels. So this week, okay, over COVID, he took a nosedive because he was not being monitored by anybody. And, we weren't out there. We weren't traveling out there. We weren't spending a lot of time out there. So he fell off his meds for God knows how long. He had a terrible case manager. The system he was plugged into was hideous back there. It was just absolutely hideous. I mean, they were taking money, public monies for offering services to this community and offering no services. They had this beautiful facility. You'd go in there, you'd see the calendars, you'd see all the things, the classes and everything, and nothing ever happened. They were canceled all the time. Nothing ever was ever provided. There was supposed to be like weekly case management. He's lucky if anybody checked on him once every year or 6 months. I mean, it was terrible. I reported them actually to the state and made a complaint, and all of my complaints were accepted as valid. I mean, it took like a few months, and I was interviewed extensively because I was like, once we got him out of there, I was like, I just can't live with myself without letting people know what's going on there. I mean, it's a complete and total sham, this agency. Anyway, it was awful. And he had been off his meds for God knows how long, and he went completely off the rails. My dad was extremely laissez-faire about dealing with him. I mean, like my husband and I, we are on top of it. As soon as he starts showing symptoms, my brother could show symptoms for weeks, if not months. And my dad would be like, oh, that's just John. That's just John off his meds, Dad. It'd be like, I used to try to explain to him, my dad was a psychologist, that ran a psychiatric unit. Like he really should have known better. And I'd say, it's like, somebody has a cardiac problem and you're watching their lips turn blue and they're having trouble breathing. And you could just say, oh, that's just, Aunt Susan. That's Aunt Susan having a heart attack. I mean, it was like, and with COVID being disconnected like that, things just went off the rails. We had to get the police out there to arrest him in order to get him to the hospital. That's how bad it got. That terrible case manager, I finally was able to light a fire under her to get out there to the house. And she gets out there and does nothing. I'm thinking, okay, finally, because clearly in his meds, I guess were all over the place. And clearly he hadn't been taking his meds for God knows how long. And you can't talk to him because he's crazy. He's completely consumed with hallucinations and paranoia. And you can't connect with somebody that's like that. It's like she had no skills at assessing, like, how are you even in this job, lady? And, I'm trying to tell her over the phone how to assess him. And finally she left and I said, why didn't you put him in your car and drive him to the hospital? He needs to get to the emergency room. And he was refusing to get in the car with my dad, who wasn't even driving anyway. And, because he was paranoid. And I said, you need to do a court order. He needs to get out of there. He needs to get somewhere safe where he can get on meds. Like somebody needs to put meds in his mouth, somewhere, anywhere. And it was so frustrating. I could not get any action anywhere. This woman, I'm saying that because I really want to say something else about this chick. She leaves and she makes a documentation that my brother was inappropriate with her and saying he wanted her to come back to his bedroom and she didn't feel safe. So she left and left him there like that and did nothing. Yeah. My gay brother isn't going to want to rape you in his bedroom, honey. I promise. So, yeah. That's the moment. If you're not feeling safe, then somebody is a danger to himself or others and you intervene. She did nothing. So finally, this went on for days and we're trying to figure out how to get him to a hospital. And finally he went up and like grabbed my dad and like trying to give him a bear hug. And my dad was so unstable. And John, my husband, was like, we're calling the police right now. And he got on the phone with the police and said he assaulted my father-in-law. He didn't really, but we used it. So, and they arrested him. They put him in handcuffs and took him. And at least he got out of there into a hospital. So that's and he was in that hospital. It's just a terrible situation. He was in like 3 different hospitals during that time when we were in the process of moving him to Pennsylvania. So he was in the hospital maybe for a couple months. It was a long time. And so, at that point, it's like, no more. We're pulling the plug on this. You guys cannot live alone out there. During that time, we had a family friend who had like taken off on his motorcycle and done a cross-country trip during COVID. Like, what the hell else are you going to do? And he went and visited them. I don't even know this guy that well. He's like a friend of my dad's, but like my age or a little bit younger. And he contacted me and he's like, I don't mean to speak into somebody else's family situation, but the conditions are really bad at the house, which I knew they were bad last time I had been there, but like they had really deteriorated, and it was hoarding, and it was bad. And so that, and we started the ball rolling of like moving them to Pennsylvania. Then my dad put the kibosh on it, and then this thing happened where my brother was arrested and put in the hospital. And at that point I'm like, it's over, Dad. I'm moving John to Pennsylvania. This is how harsh I had to get with my father, who I dearly, dearly loved, but he made things so hard for me there at the end. I said, Dad, here's the deal. I will go to court and get appointed John's power of attorney and his guardian if needed, and I'm moving him to Pennsylvania. He is not safe in Arizona. He cannot live under your, with you anymore. Like, that is not safe conditions for him. If you want to stay there by yourself in Arizona, have at it. But I'm moving John. That's what I had to say. And I knew damn well my dad was not going to stay there by himself. And so that's how we agreed to get them to move. So we get them to move out here, which was a whole process. We moved my brother first. He had a great couple months before my dad arrived, living there by himself. I mean, he was always much better when he lived alone. And then John, my husband, was going back and forth, like dealing with that house and dealing with my dad and getting him. So, it was a process, a several month process. And, we secured this place, and we picked this place, this house, which is part of the update of the story, because it was very close, steps away from the property line of this facility. It's a retirement community. So they have independent living, which are like duplexes. They have like apartments that you can move into if you need more care. And then they have the full blown like nursing home environment there. So, he's at the most independent level of care, but it is a non-smoking facility. And my brother smokes heavily. So, I mean, there were just so many things to consider. So we get him this property that like he can literally walk a few steps and get off the property line and smoke, because he's going to smoke, and he could, he's not going to like just go sit in his car. It was the best we could do in a situation like that, is to get him. So we picked this unit because it's so close to the line of the property, like, and we can get you a chair, and I don't know what we're going to do in the winter, but this is the best we can do, to get you a place where you can smoke, because you can't smoke inside of this facility. So we do all that. We get the place picked out and everything like that. And then I get a call from these people saying they knew of my brother's diagnosis. They didn't know he was still in the hospital. They didn't know he'd gotten arrested. They didn't know that there was like a report that he had assaulted my dad, which he really didn't. He just like gave him this huge bear hug and made my dad feel unsteady on his feet. And we used that to get somebody in there to get him out. And so it was crazy. So, but they didn't know any of that. And so now I'm on a Zoom meeting with the CEO of the organization, the marketing person that we've already signed everything. We've already picked out this house, everything. And they're like, we're not so sure about your brother. He's too young for the community. And is he a danger? Because we have to watch out for our residents. Is he a danger? I'm sitting here like, oh my God, please don't dive into this. Please don't, because he's not a danger, but we just sort of like portrayed him as that to get him help, and he's still in the hospital. But I mean, my brother's a big teddy bear normally. So I'm like, no, he's a very stable person. He will be very popular. He will be helping people there. That's his personality. Like, I live 3 minutes away. If there's ever a problem, I will be on top of it. Like, I'm convincing these people. And then they're like, okay, well, we need to think about it. At one point I did burst into tears because I was so exhausted and so desperate, utterly desperate, because I thought we had this thing all secured. And then all of a sudden there's this monkey wrench. And then I'm like, back to like, if my brother can't live there, where does he live in this world? Where does he go? Where does a person like that live? So like, I gave it like a week of just angst. I finally just wrote this marketing lady, and said, I can't take it anymore. You have to let me know, because I have to have another option. I have to secure something else if this isn't going to work out. Like, I've been waiting. And at that point, I'm like pulling my hair out. And she called me and she's like, I'm so sorry. They said like that day that it's okay. Oh my God, I've been through a week of hell, not knowing. So now we know he's in. So, we moved them out there, and my dad lived like 2 months there. But because my brother was already in there, he is grandfathered in. So he's set. As long as he watches his P's and Q's, he's set. Hi, La Mesa. Nice to see you too. Enjoy Joe. Easy for you to say. Joe Lou. So he is set there. Thank God. He's set there for life as long as he doesn't mess up, which he did test me the other day because he's now gotten a provision that first of all, he got a provision that he could smoke on his patio in the back. So he doesn't have to go to the line, the property line. And then he's a very well-liked guy. So he gets a lot of extra. Now he can smoke on his front porch. And he's got a rocking chair out there, and he's got a little table out there and his ashtray and everything. And then he's got like a white picket fence that's plastic. I go over there the other day, last week, and realize he's been destroying that white plastic fence with his cigarettes, he's got an ashtray right there, but he's leaning over and putting them out on this white plastic fence, destroying this fence. And I'm like, I thought I was going to lose my mind. I'm like, John, you cannot do that. They're going to come and see you're destroying this fence with your cigarettes. You've got an ashtray right there. It's, you're lucky enough that they're letting you sit out front and smoke, but this is a non-smoking property. And that nobody's complaining that they're letting you sit out there and smoke. But if somebody comes by and sees that you're like putting these cigarettes out on this fence, like, you're going to lose this privilege. Like, how can you? And so he went out and he got something to clean it all up, and he felt really bad that he did that. But, these are the things that we have to deal with. Yeah. So, things like that come up, and we got it. Cause I'm like, to me, it's not just like he's putting the cigarettes out on the fence. It's like, if they come along, it's their property. He like rents it from them. Like, he doesn't own this thing. So, if they come along and say, you're destroying this property, like you cannot break the rules there, man. You gotta stay with, like, you've already been given the privilege. You can smoke on the porch, like, respect it, So, this is part of dealing with somebody who has mental disability. They're not going to function like somebody else would, Anyway, so that happened. I spent a lot of time with him lately because he's been going through a little rough patch. He's better now. And so I see him really regularly right now. So we're on the phone the other day, a couple days ago, just talking about this and that. What's he watching on TV? And, the caregivers, they come in the morning. So we get these caregivers that come every day. He has the money to afford this. So I'm like, this is how the best use of your funds. And he agrees with this, and he loves it. And they come every day. He like lives in a hotel with the staff that come every day. And, clean his room. They change his sheets. They'll do his laundry. I don't think he's done any laundry for like a couple of years now. They clean up his kitchen for him and vacuum his floors and everything. And the other thing that they do for him, I don't know how this got started, but this is kind of a new thing over the last few months, is that they make him homemade breakfast and eat breakfast with him. So he's getting blueberry pancakes and bacon. Of course, he provides everything. And they come and they'll make him a full-blown breakfast. Like, that's become part of the thing. And so he has somebody that he gets to have breakfast with in the morning. And he has them on the weekends. Then he has this other woman in the middle of the week, the one that lost her daughter. So, that's working out really good. And so he will not leave. Like, if I want to do something with him, or if I want to go to breakfast with him, he goes, oh no, I have the caregivers at my house. Like, he won't leave when they're there. So he hangs out with them. And I've told them, like, you can do anything with my brother. Like, you don't have to be doing the laundry. You don't have to be scrubbing the floors. You can be hanging out with him and watching a movie. Like, the social aspect of what he's getting with these people is important as the chores that they're doing. But the main thing is they're checking his med box. That's he's living the THA life. I don't know what that means. Well, they travel to Florida. These people are angels. We do pay for it. It's a service that you pay for. However, it's very, very needed and very appreciated, because they know to check that med box first thing when they get in there to make sure he took his nighttime meds and that he took his morning meds. And as long as he's taking his meds regularly, he can stay there because, he's relatively young, which is getting into like really what I want to tell you today is he just turned 63. So a few months ago, it might be like maybe a year now, this man moves in next door. So picture this. It's a cozy cul-de-sac. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess there's 8 units in the cul-de-sac. Maybe, I don't know. Picture that. So it's just a cozy little cul-de-sac, and they're all duplexes. So my brother is on this side of the duplex, and then he's got this lady on this side. And thank God she's not complaining about the smoking, because I keep thinking, somebody's going to like have their window open and the smoke's going to waft in there. I mean, I'm just like, he's just damn lucky. Nobody's complained ever about the smoking. Because trust me, there would be people that would complain about that. On this side over here, then there's a stretch of lawn. And on this side over here is another man. Now, usually in places like this, there's abundance of females, unless it's like a couple. But if there's people living alone, I mean, it's generally women, right? So there's this man that moves in here who looks quite young. And I started noticing him. Drives a great big truck, very well groomed. If any of you guys watch Botched, there's one of the doctors on there that was married to one of the Real Housewives. What the hell's his name? Somebody knows his name. Terry Dubrow, thank you. Ren, you're saying the story reminded me of the time you said the best thing for your brother would be if he died before you. Kind of cringe, not to mention cruel. You think that's cruel, Ren? Probably what I said was it's heartbreaking for me to think of my brother being alone without me being there for him. If I passed before he did. I don't think that's cruel. But I'm going to say goodbye to you because that's not appreciated. Terry Dubrow. So this guy looks like Terry Dubrow. This, sorry, first troll of the evening. I figured they would find their way here because that's what they like to do. So moderators, thank you. I don't see, I need to make you a moderator, don't I, TSP? Let's see, how do I do that? I think I have to do that over here. Hang on one second. Timeout. Yeah, these little stalkers like they're stalking. Let me see, where's... Okay, here we go. I think I actually accidentally deleted your comment, TSP. But there, I didn't realize I had to do that over on YouTube. Yeah, they still, I mean, they don't bother me as much as they did, but who knows what they're doing out there. Problematic, unhappy people. Anyway, so this guy looks like Terry Dubrow. So picture that. Very fit. Sometimes I see him walking, like he takes these long walks. Like I have this farm market that is near my house and I see him walking there sometimes. And he's, very, very polished guy, very well groomed, very fit guy. Okay, bare necessities, I will make you a moderator too. I'm going to rely on you guys to do that so that I don't have to deal with these people because it disrupts my train of thought. Anyway, so you're picturing this and he drives this great big huge truck and I'm looking at this guy like, what is he doing in this community? I mean, this is a retirement community. First of all, they have an age cut off. You have to be a certain age. But like you would move into that, and it's not inexpensive, to move into a place like that. And you would move into that for the services, right? For, that as you're getting older, that you need more assistance, more support, more services. So you put a certain amount down, and then you pay a monthly fee. And I think, I don't remember how it all, there's different levels that you can put down of, buying into this thing. And that might affect what your monthly fee is, but it's not cheap. But the monthly fee includes a lot of things, like all the landscaping, all the snow removal. They will dig out your car for you. They will come and fix anything. I mean, my brother will call them for anything, and they will come and fix it like that day. Even if it's like an appliance, that's his appliance. I mean, it's amazing how the maintenance department, he just calls them up, he fills out a slip, and they're there like the next day. So I think I just made you a moderator, Bare Necessities. So let me make sure I did that. Okay, you are. All right. So I start noticing this guy, and I'm thinking, just curious, like, why is someone that looks that young in this community? Well, then I started interacting with him because he started like reaching out to my brother. So he has to put his recycling and his big garbage bin out. And this guy started putting his garbage bin out for him. I started noticing that, like he was just doing that for John. And he, just started kind of, coming over and being friendly and stuff like that. So I started talking to him, and it didn't take but a few minutes to realize that he has some processing issues. And it reminded me, in my last nursing job, I worked in head injury rehab as a nurse. And so, I'm familiar with being around people with brain injuries, and I thought he's got some processing. You could just tell, and you would be able to tell talking to him that but you only pick it up with conversation, because otherwise not at all. And, he started going to like Walmart with my brother, and like they've been doing some little things together here and there with this David. So I imagine he's in there. I mean, I don't know, there might be like some early onset dementia going on with him or something, but he's not in conversation. He's not quite, picking up what you're saying. And okay, so I interacted with him today. And just for example, today I saw him because, back up. So my brother we're just chit-chatting on the phone. And he says that what he did that day. And he said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, yesterday, David invited me over for a barbecue. And he had ribeye steaks, and his brother and sister-in-law were there." I need to tell you, I mean, tears sprung to my eyes, because the fact that my brother got invited to a barbecue at somebody's house, and then he went over and he was just it sounds so small, but it is really not small. And that he got invited over there, and, he didn't. I said, "Did you bring anything?" He said, "No, they told me not to bring anything." And that he was eating steak with his neighbor and everything, just like absolutely just touched my heart, And so today I just couldn't believe it. It took my brother a few days to even tell me that. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, we had a like a little gathering in our," thank you, Tia, you get it too, in their cul-de-sac. And one of the ladies there hosted a thing on her front lawn where they just had to bring a chair and like a snack to share. And they had like a little get together, and he went to that too. So yes, he is living his best life. And just, yes, it is huge, Jamie, that he would get invited to something like that, and that he would go. Like, whoever asked if he was, in touch with people with the chorus, like he didn't really socialize. I'm glad. And now he's socializing with this guy. And so he's like, "Well, I told him next time," and I said, "Well, how did that happen?" He goes, "Well, I saw him pulling out a barbecue grill." And I said, "Hey, David, it's barbecue season. Let's put some hot dogs on the barbecue grill," or something like that. He made some comment. And so then David had this barbecue, and he didn't invite like the whole cul-de-sac. He just invited my brother to come over, and his his brother and sister-in-law. So today I saw him and I wanted to thank him for that, because like he's just been so supportive to John. But John also, his truck was in the shop for quite a while, a couple weeks, and John took him to the grocery store. Every time he wanted to go to the grocery store, John took him with him. And so, he's also been there for him. So it's not like he's like some charity case with my brother. But oh, okay, Top Cat, we'll see ya. Have a good night. And so today I was over there and I saw David came out. This is what I mean about like, that there's like there's just some processing issues going on there because he walks out and I'm like, hi, David. And he walks right up to me. And he goes, I'm getting ready to go to the rail trail right now. Like he always like announces what he's doing. And then he pulls out his phone. And he goes, I want to show you my picture on my phone. That's my, brother and sister-in-law. Shows me this picture and goes, and these are my kids. He's got adult kids. And, he just starts sharing all this stuff with me about what he's doing and what he's, and so I said, well, listen, I wanted to tell you that next month I'm doing a class, and because he's part of the gardening committee over there and they have a little gardening group. And so I wanted to let him know that I'm teaching a class there. And you could tell it just kind of like didn't quite get in there, like when I said that, because he goes, oh, teacher. Yes, I used to be a teacher. And then he says, in fact, I was an assistant principal and I was a principal. And he starts telling me his whole background. So he was a principal but it's like, he's not, and then my brother is on the porch saying, did Kathy tell you about the flower class she's taking? And he said, flower class? What's flower class? I don't know anything about a flower. And, so it's like, it's just not clicking, but he's a perfectly pleasant guy and just generous. And, he starts telling me about how he goes, well, I pushed a bit of Forrest Gump. Now that I think of it, there's like a bit of a Forrest Gump energy about this guy. He's like, well, I pushed the ice cream truck over there at the nursing home every Tuesday I push the ice cream truck. And I'm like, oh really, what's the ice cream truck? And he goes, well, the cart. And so I take the ice cream, and if they want ice cream, I give them the ice cream. I do that. And he's told me that before, that he hands out ice cream over there. So he's volunteering all over the place on the community in the community. But now that I said that, it is like there's a bit of a Forrest Gump with this guy, but now it makes sense why he's there. He has a brother and sister-in-law that live nearby. They probably helped get him in there. But here's the kicker. It's a large property, and he ends up as my brother's next door neighbor. They do not place people like that. They just show you the properties that are available, and you choose the house that you want. Because I went through that with my brother, and we chose it because of that property line and because, the amenities and stuff like that. And there's some much nicer ones. There's a whole new section that they're much nicer, but they're not going to tell you who your neighbors are. Or like, they're not going to say, we encourage you to pick this one because, there's another man that's next door. Like I would venture to say there's very, very few, if there's any more than the two of them, single men living in these places. And there they are living side by side. So they've developed this friendship next door to each other, and God willing, they will live there for a long time because they're so young. And he even said that to me, your brother's older than me. I'm just turning 61, but your brother's older than me. He's 63. And and just kind of repeating that over and over again, about that. But, so he, he's a young man living there, but he has support with a sibling, just like my brother has support with a sibling living nearby, but they are living in this community where they have other support with the community where they can also, have more care as needed going forward. So I just was, amazed at this, talking to my husband today about like just the fact that my brother has been so watched over, and that even like the placement of this man next to him, now he has a friend who he's actually doing things with. I mean, they are doing things together. They're getting in a car and going places and doing things together. And I said to John, talking about this, I said, I bet when they're together, they have no awareness that the other one has any kind of disability at all. I think they probably, when they're together interacting with each other, just see each other completely as normal, as peers, as I doubt that they would even, I doubt that my brother would even know that David has any kind of processing issues at all. And David probably doesn't notice that about my brother. I mean, you're used to having somebody with a disability like that, that's kind of the first thing that people notice, and I think people are extra nice to my brother because they do notice that he's disabled. My neighbor Sue said she ran into him at the grocery store, and she said everybody at that grocery store knows him. She said I was standing there talking to him, and he was picking out a gift for Lillian, and she said all the staff are coming up because he goes there almost every day to the grocery store. And she goes, everybody comes up to him. She goes, first of all, he has that really loud voice, and so people probably hear him coming, but she said everybody knows him. Everybody's friendly to him in the grocery store. They're all coming on, hey John, how you doing? So my brother is being watched over far more than what's happening with my husband and I. And I mean, I was just really reflecting on that today, how much support he has, how much care he has in the world. And then I was thinking about this David, about who is it? Somebody here is going to know who said, look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. He's a helper. This man has something going on, whatever it is, that is making him different in the way that he processes information and takes it in. But he is a helper. He is a person that is out there in the world trying to find places where he can help. And he's living next door to my brother. I mean, so I really wanted to share that with you guys because I thought that I've just been reflecting on that all week and about what a blessing that is for me, because I mean, I'm down here, full time at this moment, but I'm not always. And I'll be in July headed back up to the other house. And to know that he is so cared for and watched over and appreciated, and that it's not just on me. I mean, it was a lot when we moved him out here, and even when I moved him to Arizona, feeling like he doesn't have anybody but me, and feeling like it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility to have. And I handle all of his medical, I handle all of his financial stuff for the most part. I mean, he has his debit card and he's out there and buying stuff, but I manage his bills and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just looking at my phone. He just sent me a message asking me if I want a pizza. So, but just to know that he has other support in the world, and that he has finally landed in his 60s in a life where he's developing a social life, has a support system, has a very comfortable lifestyle, is living alone, and is safe. Fred Rogers said that. Okay, Mr. Rogers said that. That's right. Look for the helpers. Mr. Rogers said that. You're right. So, yes, Fred Rogers. Isn't that funny? We forgot his first name, Fred, Mr. Rogers. Yeah. And I was thinking about this man, that as much as he has challenges, I mean, he may not even know he has challenges, I mean, whatever we want to call that, he's different. He's differently processing in this world. And he clearly was not always, because he was accomplished, he's a school principal. So something has happened, where he's processing things differently. My husband, when he interacted with him, what he noticed is like, he just doesn't have short-term memory. So, he might have early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, something like that. Something is going on there. But look at the difference this man is making, even with that. And if that's not inspiring, I'm a pretty well put together person in terms of my health. And, it's inspiring me to be more of a helper in the world. That's a kind of a turning point that I'm in right now. Sully, if you're here, ignore the pizza. Yeah, maybe you get to meet his brother and sister-in-law and you have a new support. Yeah, I mean, I probably will meet them. He showed me their pictures today. And, he's got a son and a daughter. I mean, he was showing me, I'm going to turn this light on. He showed me a bunch of his pictures on his phone. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, he doesn't really know me very well. And he just walks up right up to me, like he's just showing me pictures on his phone and telling me about himself. And he goes, I was married too. He goes, my wife divorced me, but she took this picture, but she divorced me before she took this picture. And I mean, he's not telling a joke. I mean, he's just, you know, explaining to me about this picture on his phone. And, I mean, he clearly had a different life and before he's living here, but he's living there for a reason. And it's clear that there is a reason that he's living there. And look at the contribution he is making into the world, just being himself, just being this beautiful person that he is. So yeah, I'm sure I will eventually meet his, you'll take a pizza, his, and I guess he's a coach and a teacher, his brother, and I think he said physical therapist. So anyway, yes, La Mesa. I feel like in the times we are living through, seeking out tender, special, meaningful moments to reflect on is so necessary. I agree completely. And that's why I wanted to come on here and share this story, because it's just so incredibly heartwarming for me. And like, here's my brother wanting to bring me over a pizza, and we went out this week, we went out to lunch, and he's like, you fly, I'll buy, meaning I drove and he bought my lunch. And, then we went and did a little shopping and stuff, so, I mean, my brother is also very generous. He's not consumed with mental illness. So his personality is shining now. And, yes, that is very true. And what we can focus on, choose to focus on, can be contagious, and, I think it's important to share these stories. I think it's important to become filled with these kind of thoughts. And these are the kind of things, when I go to bed, I think about, and I think about these beautiful people that have crossed my path and that are in my world now and coming and going out of it. And, including you guys, except for the ones we've 86. It's sad when you think about people that like that's their focus, but they're out there too. And I just don't have time for that. It's not where I'm going to put my attention. So it says starred comments. I starred some kind of a comment when I was trying to figure things out. Well, we did do a food review postpartum of our lunch the other day. And, but he started talking about finances because I picked him up and we had to pay our estimated taxes. And so he was like perseverating over the finances, started talking about it on the food review. I'm like, I'm not going to put that out there. So, but we will do that again. And it was actually, I'll see if I can edit it, because it was very heartwarming, because it was one of the last places we were with our dad. And it was right after Father's Day that we went there, and he was talking a lot about our dad that day. And in that food review, he was talking about that too. So I'll see if I can edit that part out, because I couldn't, like, in the middle of it, like, you don't need to be telling people what you paid for your taxes, your estimated taxes. So yeah. Making a full circle to it's never too late to try again. Challenges, mistakes, doubts, fears will keep coming, but you can't let the unfortunate circumstances be the constant excuse. That's true. That's true. And I mean, when we look at people who really are living a life with significant challenges, like my brother, like this neighbor, and making it happen, carving out a nice life for themselves and comfortable, and being helpers and being generous and kind and things like that. Like, if they can do that, I certainly can do more of that. So yeah, I'm going to make that. He keeps calling me. I think he's going to come over with a pizza. I'm going to add that more into my life. And, figure out more ways to do that. But I'm starting with this volunteering over there with doing these flower classes and see where that goes. Joe, F him. Back to Maureen. Wonder where Maureen is. Oh my God. Yeah, he is living his best life. And, part of this was spurred by me watching this. Your brother's getting to the grocery store almost every day. I need to get on his vibe. Well, what he does, La Mesa, is he takes his country drive and he does the same loop and he goes to McDonald's. He goes in and goes to the restroom at McDonald's. Like I took him on this country drive when he was like in a real down place. Like, was that last week before? And so I know what his country drive is now. And then he stops at McDonald's, he gets a coffee, uses the restroom, and then he goes on his merry way. And he stops at the end of it at the grocery store. That's like his little, and he gets whatever. So he always has so much like crazy baked goods and stuff in his house. I think he's sharing them with the caregivers, which is fine. He has an abundance of food in the house. But yeah, I was going to tell you that what kind of got me thinking about this was I saw this video. I don't remember where I saw it, either on Instagram or here, about a couple that during COVID and with kids, young family, risked everything and bought an really ramble shack rundown motel. Like vintage would be nice, way to say it, but like piece of crap motel with like 20 units, I think, or something like that. But they made a good decision. But I mean, it was a real gamble. And it was during COVID. So it's like, we got to do something different. I think a lot of people did that. I watched this whole video. I was captivated by it. Well, they went in and they, of course, ran into all kinds of snags and all kinds of problems, but they renovated this thing to the inch of its life. I mean, they really, really turned this into a jewel box of a place. I wish I could find it again. Young couple. And, they didn't wave a magic wand and then like, poof, they've got this cute little boutique-y thing. But I think the claim to fame of this is the location, because I think it's near some attraction or like a state park or national park or something. It's near something that would drive people to stay. But they made this place so freaking cute. But like, who's going to go there just to stay at a motel and, nowhere? It's close to something. So that's the draw. And because they succeeded, yes, like a Schitt's Creek thing. And because they had such success and like it's thriving. So, I mean, that's just 5 years. I mean, COVID was 2020. That's just 5 years to be renovating this dump into something that is now thriving. Because they have done so well and are thriving, they've now bought the campground, the whole campground down the road, and are doing the same thing with the campground. So they're creating like a little empire in this community, in this rural area that is connected to something or close to something that people want to go to. I don't remember what it was, but it just got me thinking, so inspired about, taking a risk, getting a hit of inspiration, and then taking a risk and saying, I got to move on this, and then doing the work, getting your elbows into it and doing the work to make it happen. Like all those things. But like these people are living the dream now out of this, and they have a big success story. Yeah, Schitt's Creek. That's funny. So I don't know, that just spurred me to be thinking about this. Like, then that got me thinking about my brother, like this inspiration, like we got to move him. It was a lot of work on the front end. It really was, but we did it, and taking action. But thankfully he agreed to everything. I mean, my brother trusts me. I mean, and for good reason. He should trust me because I have I act with his best interests at heart. Like I'm the one that said to my dad, my brother's never getting on a plane without going first class, period. If he's flying anywhere, he's going first class, Dad. I mean, I just have made sure that I've upped my brother's game for years, and so he trusts me. He knows, that I watch out for him. But thankfully he's cooperative, because some people like that, would just dig their heels in but he's like, okay, he trusts me. And so he's willing to go along with things, which makes things so much easier, with managing him. Like when I said we need to get caregivers in there, okay, and he, but I'm tried and true because I have good instincts, with him, and things work out for the best, Let's see. Oh, yes. And also having a partner or chosen family and friends who get excited for you when you want to take action and try new, daring, and difficult new things. Yeah, that support is so important too, isn't it? What is that, Jamie? Is that the people I'm talking about, finding promised land? Is that who I'm talking about? This couple, this young couple that did that? Because I would like to find it again. I didn't bookmark it or anything. I just watched it, and I was just captivated with the whole story. And then at the end of it, they're like, and now we bought the campground. Like, wow. Like, you're just rooting for people, There's people out there in this world that I'm just like, I'm so happy to get on their page or their TikTok or whatever and seeing that, oh, that's the one. Thank you. You found them. How did you find them? Oh my gosh, good for you. I didn't even go back looking for them. Had you seen them too before? My brother keeps calling me with the pizza. Wanted to bring over a pizza. Oh, I'm following them on Instagram. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Yeah, I just hit the follow on them, and I just saw them the other day, and I was so inspired by them. So I wanted to share that because I think, having good wishes for people, even if they're complete strangers, is a good way to live in this world. And it combats people who are doing the opposite of that. Oh, you Googled. Okay. Wow, that was a fast Google. You're a good researcher. So anything else, people? That was really what I wanted to share today. We didn't get trolled too hard. And TSP's back in the house. So you guys, hang on, let me see here. TSP, you there? Let's see if we can welcome TSP back with one of his videos. Let's see what we got here. Oh my God. Let's see what we got. There's the God sister. All right, I found one. TSP, let me know you're there. I'm going to put we're going to play one of your videos for fun and take it out on that. Let's see. Oh, no, wait a minute. Okay. All right. We're going to play a TSP video. Let's see. Let me find the share screen again. Stop that one. Present. Share screen. Hang on here. I'm just picking this one. TSP. Hang on, let me find it. Let me get me out of here. This is a feel-good space. You're right, Tia, it is. All right. Yep, the good old days. The good new days. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have sound. Oh, here we go.
You remember Donna?
This is Dan Markell. Dan Markell is the only victim in this case. This revered law professor that on July 18, 2014 was gunned down in broad daylight in his home. And what enemies had Dan Markell made that set his brutal fate into motion? His own family.
This is Jack Leverins. I remember Donna. I saw her first
I got the inside story, and it was an eerie one. Witnessing nature's power of destruction is like being removed from reality. This is Jack Leverance, WCKT News.
Donna, in her stormy spawning stage, whirled miles before blowing herself out. Donna sustained winds of 140 miles an hour, with gusts clocked at 180 to 200 miles an hour. Donna churned through the swamplands. High winds whipped up sulfurous gases which were trapped in the heavy foliage. In some areas, every living tree and blade of grass was gassed to death.
This is Dave Choate, and I'll always remember Donna and the destruction she left behind. She battered everything she touched, and she seemed to touch everything. Donna threw a KO punch, and the lights went out. And then came the massive job of cleaning up. But the phone reports, the reams of news copy written on Donna, and the thousands of feet of news film shot on her somehow couldn't capture the true and utter destruction that was Donna.
This is Joe Browder. I remember Donna, and so do the people of this community. These films were seen in a special report from WCKT's studios. This is Joe Browder, WCKT News.
Donna, professor without portfolio, went on teaching Florida the elementary lessons.
While Britain was basking in a few days of Indian summer, the east coast of the United States suffered a trail of destruction as Donna continued on her ferocious course.
No stay is going to be granted. If your clients are not going to comply from here, we are going to move into contempt proceedings.
Understood, Your Honor. I have to speak to them before I decide. Your Honor, if you're not going to grant me a stay,
well, there's no need to keep stammering about the stay. The stay is denied. From here, are you going to produce your clients to testify pursuant to the grant of immunity, or I'm going to issue a writ of bodily attachment to bring them to Tallahassee, and we will have contempt proceedings here in Tallahassee.
Breaking news, the newest information.
Harvey churning in the Gulf of Mexico.
There is Harvey right now making landfall.
Oh my God, I have never seen that. How did I miss that video? You said that was an old one. I have never, ever seen that. How did I miss that? That was so perfect for right now. And then Harvey at the end. That was amazing. And I don't even recall that. Who was he talking about with contempt, and who was that on the phone? I feel like I'm like brain dead right now. I have never seen that. I mean, that is totally, totally contemporary. And you said that was an early one. I mean, that is like something, I thought it was a brand new one. Had anybody seen that? I hope you're okay with me playing that one. From domestic organizer. Yeah, the domestic coordinator. She was the domestic coordinator, AJ. So you said, TSP, that was an early one. I had never, ever seen that. And it's like, it was just made for right now. No need to keep stammering about contempt. Who was he talking to? And who was that? It sounds like those were that was an attorney representing somebody. Who was he talking to, and who was he talking about? No one has ever seen that. You made over 100 videos. No one saw that one. How did we miss that one? That's a winner. That needs to be up at the top of yours. I just was scrolling, trying to grab something really quick. But wow. That was really, really good. Somebody tell me what he was talking about. I know there's a lag here. Who was he talking to? He was talking to Donna's. Oh, that was what the hell's her name? Yeah, that dipshit down in Miami. Okay, and who was she supposed to produce? I mean, surely not producing Donna. Yeah, what the hell was her name? the long black hair, the one that was Descalzo. Ms. Descalzo. Was it her? The hearing after Donna got to Tallahassee. Was that Ms. Descalzo? Hi, Lisa Campbell. I'm glad you popped in too. Yep, it'll be there for you to catch up on. We just played a TSP video here at the end that all of us are like blown away because it's an old one, but none of us saw it. Yeah, Miss Descalzo, she had no idea what she was doing, but she was wrong and strong. That's how I felt about her. You know, she was, yeah. Hi, Nanya. Yeah, she was a big B. It didn't sound like her, though. The voice on there did not sound like her. Where's Fancy Fiction when we need her? She would know exactly who that was. I don't recall seeing that hearing. It was Charlie's hearing, and it was about Harvey and Donna testifying. Okay, so it was an attorney representing them, but maybe it wasn't as the Scalzo. Okay, La Mesa, thanks for being here. Appreciate you popping in and being a part of it. I'm gonna sign off here in a minute too. Appreciate all of you. It's been a little bit of a wild ride here over the last few months, but we came up. We emerged strong. And, you know, sometimes life does that. It like throws you in a blender and then, you know, separates the wheat from the chaff. So good night, La Mesa. I'm glad you all have, you know, stuck around and have been so supportive and cool. Donna, aka the shitstorm. Mr. Beasley is great. He a little Mr. Beasley update. He just recently got these weird bumps like around his neck, like behind his ears. And John noticed him over the weekend. He has like really curly fur around there. And he's like, have you felt this bump? And then I started feeling more like getting down into that fur and felt more of them, you know, these weird little bumps. So I know he's sleeping. He's sleeping over there in the other room. So I got him behind hi K9 Catherine, behind a gate. So yeah, he's chill. He likes to sleep in that other bedroom and he's been very quiet. So yeah, I don't have him out here right now because it's been a little bit wild. But yeah, so this is so many things are great about living in a small community. So I contact them. I'm like, I'm not sure I should bring him up or not. And then he also started licking his incision again out of nowhere. And he was not licking it at all before. So I'm like, are these things connected? What's going on? And then, you know, we're so freaking buggy right now. So I'm like, are these bug bites? And then I think they were like kind of right along the collar line. So I took off the collar, like he's not going to wear the collar. I just put him in the little harness and have been assessing what's going on with these bumps and contacted the vet a couple of times. And they said, can you take a picture of them with your camera and take a picture of the incision too? And I'll have the vet look at it. So I have sent them like 3 sets of pictures. They don't charge me a thing. I don't have to bring them in there. The vet takes a look at it. And then the vet contacts me back with advice of what to do. I mean, I'm like, shouldn't you be sending me a bill or something for this? And I guess maybe follow up from the surgery, but basically they're going away and they told me to put this ointment on, this antibiotic ointment on the thing. They think it's just a little reaction to the internal sutures and like it's not looking infected or anything like that. And these little bumps are going away. So I don't know, this morning I've been, you know, of course, obsessing over this, like what is happening? I thought, did a bug get underneath his collar? Now he is treated for fleas. So, and it's not fleas and these hard little bumps. And so they're starting to go away now. I think now that I took the collar off and whatever they were, but then I got to thinking, I realized I was shampooing him. I was using, you know, the pet shampoo, but because, you know, I take him to these dog parks and he gets all muddy and I didn't realize I was probably shampooing him too frequently because it really should just be, and you guys with dogs know that it really should be, you know, not that often that you use the shampoo, like once a month. And, you know, I was maybe doing it like once every couple of weeks, once every 10 days or something, because he was getting all muddy. And so, I realized I just can rinse him off without using the shampoo. So I think what might have happened is that because you know how when your hair, you like, have you ever had that where you forgot to rinse out the conditioner or something like that? And then you're like, why is my hair so like waxy feeling? And then you realize like, oh, the product's still in there. Like I didn't get the full rinse done. I was feeling like his fur was feeling like that. And I'm like, I wonder if the last time I shampooed him, I didn't get it like up underneath those ears and really into that thick fur and get all that product out of there, all that shampoo out of there. So I took him in this morning and I really rinsed and rinsed and rinsed and rinsed all underneath there. And it did get more fluffy. So that he might have been having a reaction to some residual shampoo in there, but it's like dog shampoo, like super Burt's Bees shampoo. But it's just okay, you use unscented baby wipes between baths. That's, yeah, I think that Lisa, that's what it was, a skin irritation. And I think it might have been that because I was like, yeah, I think I've given him too many baths from going to these dog parks and shampooing him with too much frequency. So I'm backing off that. But then I realized I can still rinse him down, but just not use the shampoo. So yeah, and he's very good in the shower. I take him in there and have this really nice nozzle that does a soft spray. And, he doesn't wiggle around or anything like that. He likes to get out and shake off the water, but he's very cooperative in there. But yeah, I think I might have just not gotten it up under, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's getting better. So that's how you wash your feet. Yeah, we wash his feet too. Could be a little bit of an allergy to something outside. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Catherine. Something because he was outside with me a lot and it's very hot and it's very muggy and humid and there's a lot of bugs. And, like while I'm gardening or I'm sitting out there doing whatever in the hot tub or whatever, he sits on the patio. I also have some ants out there that keep traveling from place to place. And I wondered if maybe some ants got in there. So yeah, but it's clearing up. But you get worried about it, but he really hasn't been scratching it. These little bumps aren't, it's not like he's sitting there scratching it all the time. He scratched it a little bit, but hardly is scratching it anymore at all. So it's not really itching him that bad. So, but you worry about your little guys, right? But other than that, he's so cute. You know what he does every night? He sleeps with me every night. So he gets in the bed and he just digs everything up, all the covers. I have to hang on to my covers because I just lay there. John was really impressed with how I've learned because he was trying to get him to contain that. I said, no, just let him do it. So we go to bed. I turn on my little fireplace because I have a little glow. I set it on the timer for about an hour. And so he just tears up the bed like he's rooting around and getting the covers and then he just plops down and doesn't move and goes to sleep. And John crawled in bed with me and I said, just let him do it. Just be chill. Just be like a stone. Just lay there. I mean, he'll do it, but you got to hang on to your covers. So he doesn't. And I just say, he's just nesting, making himself a little nest. It's really very cute. And John's like, wow, you've really got that down. And I said, this is every night. I say, it's time to go to bed. I put him down there and I put another blanket on there so he can do the nesting thing with that other blanket, but he likes to do it with my covers. And he sometimes he goes underneath and he does the like that and finds his spot and then boom, he's down. So, okay. Have a good dinner, Jamie. Yeah, Catherine, I don't know if there's biting ants. There's so many things out there that are stinging right now because there's just so much heat and humidity at the moment. But the fact that it was just along there, like kind of behind the ears, it just seemed like it was along the collar line because I found one in the front too. These very tiny little crusty bumps. So they didn't want to, oh, hello to your hubby postpartum as well. But yeah, he's not itching them too much and they're not getting worse and it's not, spreading or anything like that. So I took a picture of it, picture this, trying to spread the fur, get down underneath the fur, spread it open, hold the phone and hold him still and oh my God, trying to get the picture of these things like to send to the doctor. But she didn't even reply to that. She just replied to the incision and said, keep using the ointment. And he does seem to, as soon as I put the ointment on, he stops licking it altogether. So it must be soothing. But yeah, she's like, yeah, don't even worry about it. You don't need to bring him in. So, but I mean, it's just so nice to have this vet where like I don't have to bring him in. I can send a picture, and then the vet herself texted me back. It's amazing. So Mr. Peanut Mini Dachshund. Aw, that sounds so cute. They're doing all that plus a magnifying glass. Yeah, right? Yeah, because I'm like half blind at the same time and I'm trying to see it, like I'm trying to feel it and then spread the fur open to get to it because it's like really dense fur. So he hasn't lost any fur around these things either because I've Googled the hell out of it, trying to figure out what this is. They're not red. They're like flesh colored, just sort of flaky on top, hard little bump, and no bugs or no fleas or anything around it or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know what caused it. Might be an irritation from that shampoo, some residual of that shampoo, but who knows? Could be a bug that got underneath. I don't know, but they're getting better. So that's the Mr. Beasley update. He's obsessed with Lillian. He hears when he knows they're coming. He can hear, like if I'm here and the garage door goes up, he knows it's John. And he knows it's probably going to be Lillian, and he starts going hog wild. He does what I call the wiggle waggle, where his entire body starts wagging. He starts whining and, hyperventilating in there because he thinks it's going to be Lillian. And like the second, he's just, he's obsessed with her. Yeah, the bees. Yeah. And John, but John is like the alpha. We call him alpha dad. I try to lower my voice to do what he does to get him to behave, but I'm definitely mommy because I'm the one that he just, curls up to and like drapes over and gets in my lap. Like in the morning when I'm on my computer and I put the little jazz on in the jazz station, he just comes up like with the little paws like that. He just wants to sit in my lap. It's so cute. He's a good dog. And they love him at this pet resort that we take him when I go up this week, I'll take him for one night there. They love him there. And he loves it there too. Because as soon as I drive up the driveway, it's out in the country. As soon as I drive up their driveway, he's looking out the window. He knows where we are. He immediately starts wiggle waggling, the tail's going like we're not even on the parking lot yet. And he's like freaking out. He's so happy to go there. So, oh yeah. And now with the scrunchies, he pulls out the scrunchie. He used to pull it out and then like take it like a little comfort thing. And he would just he didn't ever chew them. He would just like mouth them, and carry them around, like run around the house with a scrunchie in his mouth, like the fluffy ones. And now he just doesn't want me to have it. So he takes it out of my hair and he drops it on my shoulder or drops it on my back. He just takes it out and then he leaves it with me. Like he just doesn't want me to have my hair in a ponytail. So funny. It reminded me of my friend Michelle. God bless Michelle. She's my friend that passed. Her son, when he was a little boy, used to say, I only want you to wear the big earrings with the hoops and no brown lipstick. Here's this little boy telling her how he wanted her no brown lipstick and only the big hoop earrings. I was thinking about that with Mr. Beasley. Like, no, I don't want you to wear a ponytail. So I can see when he's going to do it because he just starts looking at it like that. And then he crawls up wherever. He just gingerly pulls it out. And then he leaves it on my shoulder or leaves it on my back. It's crazy. Yeah. And socks. And he's destroyed several shoes now, but oh well, that's part of having a dog. So anything else anybody wants to share? Before we sign off, it's getting to be about 9:00. I need to get on a FaceTime with my hubs. Yes, he's very gentle when he does it. He is. I mean, this is a really tight one, but he would pull that out very gently. Yeah, this should have a bone through it. It's like my Pebbles hairstyle. Yeah, it's so hot. It's like I do not like to wear my hair down. So anything else anybody wants to finalize? We're happy to see TSP back in the house. Happy to run into that funny video. Why don't you head on over? Let me put the link to his channel. So, oh, that's mine. Hang on. And so you can go over there and subscribe because he has a new channel now. Things are kind of floating back to normal again. Okay, let's see here. Kevin. Yes, John had a really good Father's Day. We made him French toast and sausage, and I've been giving him a lot of myofascial release treatments because he's having this shoulder and arm thing going on, and so I worked on him a couple times. And what did we watch? I didn't play that song for him, but I will. I just listened to it this morning. And of course we had Lillian, and she made him such a nice gift. She had taken all these really cool photographs, and she put the date on the back and wrote a note on the back of each photograph and put it in an envelope with 2 of her bracelets. You know, she wears like the Madonna. Remember Madonna used to wear all those bracelets? That's in fashion again, at least it is with her. She took 2 of them off and gave them to her dad. So he has 2 of her bracelets. And something else. Oh, a bunch of stickers, because he puts she gives him stickers and he puts them on his phone. And then she made him a card. So it was really nice. And then I gave him, if you guys have seen like this on the social media, the dude robe, it's a really nice bathrobe for men because the sleeves, it's like a sweatshirt. So the sleeves are like gathered here, elastic, like a sweatshirt. And it's like a hoodie, but it's a robe. He loves it. I gave him one, I don't know, for Christmas, I think, and he loves it. So I gave him another one, to have down at here at this house in the matching shorts. So none of your business, please do email me. I'll look for it. And I will check the spam in case it lands there. Yes, and yeah, your boys, they're nice postpartum. Those dude robes are nice, and he really likes the shorts. They're super long, super baggy. I mean, they're really, lounging around the house, but he really likes it. I like the style. I like that gathered sleeve. Thank you, Dis Mom. I am having fun with my flower arrangements. So yeah, if anybody in here didn't get the memo, I've created another channel altogether where I'm going to be talking about Donna's case at the end of the day and chatting about that. And it's going to be at least that's the plan now. I just don't want to deal with these stalkers, these psychos that are weirdly fixated on me. So I don't want to deal with them. So it is to exclude them. That's the whole reason I'm doing it privately. And so if you would like to participate in that, the plan is that we'll, this is for Donna's trial, during Donna's trial, or if there's anything coming up before that we want to talk about that stuff. I'm keeping true crime off of this channel. And so I created a separate one. So it's out there, but it's going to be primarily for live chats. And so we sort of figured out that we'll, at the end of the trial day, everybody watch the big shows. I hear him. I got to get him. He's shaking his little tail feather over there. STS, Mentor Lawyer, whoever you want to watch at the end of the trial day, Carl, and stuff like that. And then we'll do the after show on that chat, and so people can come with whatever they picked up, wherever they watched whatever, including the trial day. And then we can do our own little private chat. Send me an email, Tamara, and I will send you a link to that. So I'm just sort of doing that privately. And it's really just to keep it cool. And yes, if you're wondering why you're excluded because you've been a bad boy or a bad girl. And we don't play like that around here. You play like that over somewhere else, but you don't get invited to this party if you're being that way. So yeah, so that's why I'm doing it that way. I'll send you an email. I have an email list and you will be on that email list. So yeah, send me an email, katiecoolady@yahoo.com. Yes, Lisa. Yep. All I have to know is, I need your email address. Give me your posting name. I will put my email address right here. We've done a couple chats so far because I'm trying to figure out the logistics of doing it that way. And so far, so good. It's working. And yeah, so we'll have a little cool cat chat that's not open to the public. And because, everybody's going to be looking for content on that. And I just, I I like the small, intimate group setting now. That's part of what I figured out when I shut down my other channel. I'm like, I'm not built for that. I don't need all that. I'm not monetized. I'm not trying to get fame and fortune out of this. I'm just trying to be cool and connect with people. So, yeah, so just email me, Tamara, and I will send you the information. And it's really, that just means when I'm going to do a live over there, you'll get a notification and you just follow a link into it. So that's what, and I'm asking you, please don't share the link with anybody else, because that's how we're keeping it cool. And there's a little faction of people that are a little too interested in me out there. So, I mean, I don't know how. Hopefully they've moved on to other interests, aka obsessions, but still dangling, I guess. So, yeah, we're not going to play. We don't play on that playground. We play on our own playground. So, yeah. So just send me an email and I'll reply that I got your email and that you've been added to the list. Then whenever I do a live, so during Donna's trial each day, I will send out the new link for the live. So all you have to do is click on that and boom, you're in. So yeah, interest, TSP. Now the TSP is back. We'll see if they're going to leave him alone. People, they got problems, but the problems are my problems. So I got my own problems. I don't need theirs. So luckily I don't have too many of them these days. So thank you for joining, everybody. It has been great sharing with you. And thanks for hanging in there, being cool, contributing, staying connected. And yeah, I appreciate you. So I'm going to sign off for now, and everybody have a really good night. And thank you for joining me. And yes, send me an email. I'll keep an eye out for emails, and I will add you to the list and reply that you've been added. And that's it. That's all you need to do. All right. Thank you, TSP. Oh my gosh, postpartum. I need to connect with you about how you're doing. Yes, I forgot. You are healing up. Thanks for the reminder. All right, guys. Thanks for joining, and I will catch you next time. Good night.